Hi there, my name's Kirsty and I'm a forest school leader, and today I'm going to show you some of the activities that you can do for the Winter Wanderer season with materials from your Winter Wanderer kit. You might also want to collect some natural materials from your garden or on a walk. Okay, let's get started. So these are the things that you've got in your pack that you're going to use to make your star decoration. So you've got some clay. So this is air drying clay, so you don't have to put it in a kiln or anything like that. It just dries in the air. You've also got some yarn, paint brushes, a star cookie cutter, and some lovely acrylic paints here in a variety of different colours. You might also have some other types of paint that you want to use as well. So they're the things from the pack. I've also added just a little skewer so that we can make a hole in the clay where the yarn can go through and we can hang our decoration using that. But you might have a cocktail stick or a pencil or something like that that you can use to make the small hole. The other things that I've got are these natural materials that I've collected out on a walk. Went on the school run and just picked up a few things along the way that I thought might be useful for this project. So I've got some different evergreen leaves, also got a little pine cone that I'm going to have an experiment with and see if we can make a pattern with that in the clay, a little cup from an acorn, some oak leaves. They always make quite a nice imprint, and that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. I've got a little leaf that's off some ivy, which I thought was quite pretty and small enough probably to go inside our star cookie cutter shape. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is get some clay and start to warm that up in our hands. So you just tear that packet open. So there's enough clay here to make quite a few ornaments, so you can really experiment. It's quite soft to start with, so I'm going to take off about this much at first and just give it a roll in my hand, just like you would with Play-Doh. I'm sure lots of people have used Play-Doh before. So I've got it into a little ball, and then I'm going to put it on a hard surface and just give it a little bit of a squeeze with my hand. You could use a rolling pin if you wanted to get it really, really smooth, but you don't necessarily need that. And I'm just going to turn it over and give it a little bit more of a squeeze on the other side as well. There we go. So I'm going to check that it's the right size for my cookie cutter, and it is. And I'm going to start off, I think, with these little leaves here. See how we go by making an imprint. So I'm choosing the area that I want and just laying that down and just gently pressing down with my fingers so that it goes into the clay. And I'm really liking the imprint that's been made there. That's quite effective. So if I pick that up, you can see in the light there that you've got quite a nice imprint. I might try and do a little bit more just to the side, so replacing it again and giving it a press. Okay, and then you need to get your cookie cutter, place that wherever you think is going to look best, and then push down with your hand. There we go. And then I'm going to gently push it out, and there we have our little star ornament. So the next thing that we need to do is make a little hole, and that's where our yarn is going to go through once this has dried in the air and it's ready. So I've got my little skewer, or you could use, like I said, cocktail stick or something similar. just poke a little hole through there, and that will be where we can hang that decoration. Okay, so I've got a tiny little hole there. Now the next thing to do is find a place where we can put these to dry. I wouldn't recommend putting them anywhere too hot, because if they dry very quickly they might get damaged or crack. So a sunny windowsill or a reasonably dry spot in the house, and just let them dry on their own. And then when they are dry, you could just leave them as they are, which looks quite nice and natural, or you could use some of these acrylic paints that you've got in your kit to add a little bit of colour to the decoration. I'm going to have another go with some of the other leaves and materials that I have found on my walk, and just see what other effects that I can get. So I'm going to have another go with something different. Might try the little tiny oak leaves that I found, because they've got quite big veins that might be good for an imprint. So squashing again a couple of times till it's big enough. There we go. Let's try this oak leaf here. I'm going to press that in. Oh wow, yeah, so that's worked really well. Very nice and quite delicate. You can see the imprint of the leaf there. And then I'm going to take my star, press it down, take all that extra clay away. As you can see, you've got quite a substantial amount of clay there, so you can make plenty of these ornaments from that clay. And if you've got some other kinds of cookie cutters with different shapes that aren't stars, or other kinds of things that you might like to use, you could have a go at that. I'm really pleased with that one. So I've got my skewer again to make a little hole just to hang it from. I'm going to put it here. Give it a little twist as it goes in. I'll put that with the others over there. I think the next one I'm going to try is the pine cone. I think that probably make quite a nice imprint. Squashing, turning, squashing and turning. And then just checking that my star is going to fit. And so I'm just going to have a little go with this guy here, see if we can roll it along the surface, get an interesting imprint. Oh, I love that. I am really liking that. Excellent. That's worked really well. So if you've got any pine cones that you've collected, they are ideal. Cut out my star shape again. And these would make really good gifts for family members and friends. Something that they can put on their tree. And they're so easy to do with the materials that you've got in your pack. So there's another one you can see. Get my little skewer, make my little hole, and that's ready to dry. Be turned into a beautiful decoration. So now that we have left our ornaments to dry overnight, we can start deciding to perhaps give them a little bit of colour or not. It's totally up to you. This is one that I've decided to leave quite natural. I've just threaded the yarn on, and that is able to hang on a tree or somewhere else in your home. But you might want to use some of the acrylic paints that are in your pack to decorate them and paint them as well. So this is one that I've just done this morning, and I've decided to paint that one green, so that's coming out quite nicely. I'll just show you about attaching your little bit of yarn for hanging. So as long as we've remembered to make our little holes in the top here with the skewer or a pencil or whatever it is that you have to hand, you can then thread a piece of yarn through, and that can be your hanger. Now I've got a little stick here which is just going to be helpful to help me to poke that through the hole. You might want to give the end a little twist or wet your fingers and give it a little lick, and then just poke it through the hole there. And then use a stick or your skewer from earlier on just to poke it through. There we go, let's come through the other side. Then you can pull it through and tie a knot at the end. And now it's ready to hang on your tree or anywhere else in your home that you'd like to hang it. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to paint some of the others that I have here now that they're dry. So you've got a paintbrush in your pack and some acrylic paints. So this one I've already done green. So I think what I'll do is just wash my brush and maybe do the one that I've just threaded red, because that's a nice festive colour. So a little bit into my palette. Wash my brush. A bit of paint on the brush. So I think I'm going to do this one red. Just get as much on your brush as you can. I think that looks absolutely brilliant. And the texture from the imprint just makes it look even more interesting and special. Go around the back here a little bit. Try not to get my yarn wet. There we go. So you could leave it like that, or if you wanted to, you could have that part dry and then turn it over and do the other side, or do the edges around the edges, or you could do the edges a different colour. That would still look really nice. I think I'm going to do another one of these, a nice yellow colour. This one natural because the imprint on that one is quite impressive, so I'm going to leave that as it is. But yes, as you can see, these are our star ornaments that we've made. Paint them, or you can leave them natural and then just put the tags on. All done. So if you've got any comments, please put them in the section below, and it'd be really great to see the things that you've made as well, so it'd be good to see photographs of some of your decorations. Thanks.